You're
cool.
I apologize for all that confusion.
Totally fine.
Okay, so hello everyone. It's nice to see everyone. How are y'all doing? Would you like to introduce yourselves, my lovely co-hosts?
Sure. So I'm Brooke. I have a channel here on YouTube. I make AuthorTube and BookTube videos, and yeah, you're gonna be seeing me a few times this weekend during this event. So, but yeah, if that's your jam, if you like AuthorTube and BookTube, I'm your person. So.
Well, I'm Asche. I'm also an author tuber. I make videos about writing, reading, and occasionally coffee. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I've already been part of one sprint, and then I'm part of this chat, and then I'm not participating on camera the rest of the Writeathon. I'll just be in the chats.
So I am Kayla Kune. I am an adult dark fantasy author. I also have been on AuthorTube for a couple years now. I actually do weekly streams on Mondays for writing sprints, as well as weekly Wednesday videos. I run a couple writing related Discords. I do a lot of stuff. I do a weekly web novel series for fun that is posted. I got all kinds of links in the description. But my debut novel is coming out in April, so I am excited about that. And that is what I am doing right now.
That's so exciting. And apologies for randomly leaving the stream. I don't know, StreamYard. And I see Devin has joined us, so hello Devin. And Eva has just joined us, so hello. And so why don't we get started on, why don't you tell me a summary of your whip?
Should we just go in a circle every time, or what should we do?
Sure. Do you want to start this time, Caitlin?
Yeah, I'll start. Well, my current main whip is I call it my City project because it's about there are two cities in it's a YA fantasy, and it's two cities in a forest that one's above the trees and one is below the trees, but they don't know about each other until a young girl falls from the city above to the city below, and it's about her journey back home or realizing she doesn't want to go back home. So
Very concise. I like it.
Oh, am I in the circle? I'm sorry. I wasn't sure which way we were circling. So my current whip is actually the second, it's the second, third, and fourth books in my series, which I can't really go into too much detail about without spoiling the first book. So I would just say a little bit about the series in general, which is the Intertwined series. The first book is The Reckoning. I have a fake copy of it here. And basically it is an epic fantasy. So it's about a dark blood prince and his best friend who is an Asud and a human girl, and they all get called to take part in the Reckoning, which is basically like Hunger Games, but with magic and a lot of dark elements and LGBTQ plus romance all weaved in there together. But basically, it's a dystopian version of this magical world where the land is dying because they had a war previously where they destroyed light magic. And without light magic, the world isn't balanced. So it's dying and people are starving. And so the king's like, let's have a reckoning. And as a distraction. And so the whole first book is them fighting and competing and doing magic stuff. It's not like a to the death kind of thing, but they do kill each other because it makes it easier for them to win in that sense. I feel like I rambled. That's mostly it.
cool. It sounds very cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm gonna ramble too because my work in progress is a lot less developed than that, obviously. So, but I'm currently working on what I like to call Project Blade. So it's an assassin novel. It's adult fantasy. Basically, the main character and everyone else, you go to this like warrior academy. You don't necessarily have to be an assassin, but you train with your like weapon of choice, and then you make your first kill with your weapon when you're 18, and your weapons like level up as you go, so they get more and more cool. So I don't really have a good like elevator pitch for it, but that's kind of it. So yeah.
So is this the? I guess I'll ask you all this later, but I just want to know where your progresses are, like where you are in your story, what like level. Okay. I'll quickly do a summary of my story then, I guess. So my current whip is very confusing, but it's about a fallen angel. It's paranormal, but she doesn't know that she's a fallen angel. She actually doesn't know what she is, and I haven't decided if she's a fallen angel either. So she could be an angel, but she's not human and she doesn't have any of her memories. Yeah. So, where are y'all with your projects? And people in the comments, tell me about your whips as well, because I think whips are fun.
Well, I guess with my project, I'm currently working on draft 3 of my project, but the catch is it's kind of like 2.5-ish, just because the like I'm adding a new POV this draft, so I'm not really working on the original POV. I'm just like it's the first draft of the new POV, so it's kind of like 2.5, even though it's the third draft.
Interesting. Okay. I'm trying to add Senseriousness to the stream. And I might be kicked out because I don't know what StreamYard's doing, but I'll be right back if that happens. What about you, Kayla?
So I am actually currently in the process of rewriting book 2. So it's actually my second draft. I wrote the first draft last year, which was about 60,000 words. And I kind of like to do like a general-ish, like very, very vague outline. And then I kind of pants the story to tell it to myself. And then I do an in-depth outline. And I have like bulletin boards over there on my wall of like in-depth outline. And then I rewrite my book. And so right now I'm kind of in that middle of the rewriting phase where I am rewriting book 2 to make it a more polished plot with character arcs kind of draft, and changing some elements, because sometimes I let the story just go where it wants to, and that's not where it was supposed to go, and I got to go back and fix that kind of thing. But yeah, that's where I'm at right now.
Where am I? I'm drafting, like I'm just doing my first draft. I have some of it plotted. I don't know. I don't like calling myself a plantser because I just feel like, I don't know, I just don't like the word very much, but so I was trying to be more of a plotter with this one because my last one I pantsed and it was not good to edit. So yeah, I'm about like 20,000 words in. I'm just like doing kind of at like the break into 2 point. So I'm really excited because it's like a really exciting part that I'm coming up to. So
is your story I remember you were talking about, I think it was a rom-com type of story, like it was romance and contemporary.
Yeah, I have like an adult romance that is in the editing stage right now, but I hate editing, so I'm putting it off and I'm working on Project Blade instead, which is terrible because like I was hoping to have my romance ready. So that's or I just call it FFT, which is just an abbreviation of the title. But so I was hoping to have that ready for beta readers in March, but it's March and I don't have it ready for beta readers. So I'm doing really good. Yeah.
And what about you? Hello, Sen. It's nice to see you.
Hi. Sorry about the technical difficulties. Always tends to happen.
True.
I am still on book 1. I rough drafted it. I'm in editing stage, which is difficult in itself because I'm trying not to rewrite the entire story because it flows perfectly into book 2, but it needs to definitely be tailored.
Yeah. Wait. So, what is your story about? And is it a series? Have you already written book 2?
I've started book 2. My story is about a young girl who's basically falls into this dystopian land. She kind of has to navigate, basically with no powers, through this land and figure out how to get herself back to where she originally came from. There is a love interest, but it's mostly focused on more of a coming of age kind of thing.
Fair enough. That's cool. I love romance in books, but it's interesting because my own whip is sparse on that. And also, Grape Fry mentioned in the comments, I don't know what the hell is going on with my whip. I'm near 45K and it's just vibes at this point. No plot, just homoeroticism and sexual tension. Sexual tension is great, but like, I don't know. I love romance in books. That sounds like my type of book. And vibes are great for books, especially like playlists. Do y'all use playlists?
It's more like it sets you in the mood, like using playlists to like write certain scenes so that you're in that right headspace depending on what you have to write that day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, okay, I have a question. What influenced you guys to write your whip?
I think for me, I don't even know. It's really funny because I came up with the idea for my romance novel, it's just like plucked out of thin air. Like I just like reading romance. And I mean it's all kind of the same anyways, you're telling the same story, you're just changing what happens. So I mean, I don't know if there was any like inspiration. I just knew I wanted to write a college romance and that's what it is. So
Okay.
So the original inspiration for my whip is kind of interesting because at the time I was trying to write a book about a serial killer. And basically I had a dream. So I have very vivid, detailed dreams. And I just like had this dream one night about this relationship between two people. And I was like, all right, this is it. This is the foundation for my book. And I just built a whole series off of that dream. So yeah, I get a lot of ideas while I'm asleep.
That's so cool. Do you have like a dream journal or how do you remember? You just remember them?
I just remember them for the most part, and like I probably should do like a dream journal because sometimes I don't, but I have a lot of action adventure dreams for whatever reason. So yeah, it's fun.
That's cool. I have the weirdest dreams. I'm sorry, this is kind of off topic, but I have the weirdest dreams. Like one of my most vivid dreams was I was being chased by a snake that jumped out of a tank in like a paper shop. In a handmade paper shop. And this snake, it didn't slither, it jumped. So it was so weird because it was just jumping after me.
That's crazy.
I do try and keep a dream journal. That's the only reason why I remember that.
I do also get story ideas from dreams. Like I have a whole notes app, like note in my phone that's just dedicated to like aspects from dreams that I want to put in a story one day. But my City project's like my only project that wasn't inspired by a dream. It actually was when I was in college. I took a theatrical design class, and our professor gave us a poem called City by Marcy Ridlon, which is why I call it my City project. And we were supposed to design a set based on that poem, but instead of I designed a set, but I also like got a novel idea from the poem. So I think like when it does become published, I might like put it in like the poem that inspired it, like in the front of the book.
That's so cool. Poetry's fun. I like poetry.
Yeah, my inspiration kind of just came from, well, it started out from me watching way too much Twilight one day. It really was. I was just like, oh, let me go remember my high school days and just read all those books and watch all those movies. And then I was just like, I need something that is romantic, kind of like this, but not as cringy a little bit, just a tad.
Twilight vibes are, I like Twilight vibes. I don't necessarily like Edward Cullen. Sorry, I'm a very big Jacob fan, but
Me too.
Okay, where did I get? See, for me, it's hard to talk about where I got my idea for my whip because I started writing it when I was really little. So I feel like, okay, I was at this writing conference. This is what I remember. I was at this writing conference, and me and my friend were like talking about book ideas. And she mentioned that she was a writer, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I want to be a writer too. So then I started writing this book, and then I stopped writing this book for several years. And then I started AuthorTube, and I finished the book. So I don't know. There's like a 10-year time gap in between. So it's difficult. Also, Writing Violet has joined us. So yes, hello. I apologize if I'm not putting up any of the comments just because I feel like I'm gonna get kicked out of StreamYard for like the 10th time if I do that. But yeah, okay, so here's like a similar question. What motivated y'all to write your whips? Or like how do you stay motivated to continue writing your whips rather?
I don't know if I continue to stay motivated. I kind of have just like always wanted to be a writer. I feel like it's like that for so many people. It's like, oh, that's what I've always wanted to do, like since I was like a little kid. But like in terms of staying motivated, like I haven't written, I don't even know. I don't know the last day that I wrote, honestly. Like I've just been like busy with other stuff. Like I wish that I could do it full time so that I didn't have to like balance it with other things. I feel like everybody feels like that, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you just have to look at like giving yourself smaller goals is really important because it's such a long haul that like if you don't have things that you can work towards, you're just working towards this like huge unimaginable goal of like getting published. So yeah.
That's true. I love when, you know, that 50K mark, that like really sweet spot in a whip.
Yeah. So for me, I utilize a planner because I have to plan things. And as far as like staying motivated, a lot of that is just like internalized where I make writing a priority because I enjoy writing. And so I'm fortunate enough not to have another job currently, but I remember, I think it was 2020 NaNoWriMo, or no, 2019 NaNoWriMo, where I was working like 45 hours a week and then writing 3 hours a night on top of that. And that motivation just straight comes from like, I make a plan, I schedule it out. Like Brooke was saying, small goals that add up. And it's like, I have this big goal and now let me break it down weekly, daily, monthly. And then I chip away at it and I just go for it because I don't let myself have another option, I guess, in that sense. My mindset is this is a priority. This is my job. Even if I have other jobs, like this is what I'm doing.
That is a
Yes.
great way to think about it.
Yeah.
So do you ever suffer from like the new idea syndrome then?
You mean like the plot bunnies where like you get a new idea and you want to write something different, or I would say like yes and no, in the sense of like I feel like I always have like new ideas that are popping in, but a lot of those new ideas can be kind of twisted into my current series. I do have a couple of other books that I'm going to be writing after I finish this series that I have ideas for. I actually started a rough draft for that during Nano. Because I've found that sometimes it helps to like have a secondary project, because I was really one tracked before, where I was like, I'm only working on this project until it's done. But after I finished book one, it was really nice to get a break from that world and those characters and just kind of work on something a little bit different, and then you kind of like get refreshed for going back into that original project.
Yeah.
So I guess I do have two projects that I am sort of simultaneously working on, but the main focus is still the fantasy series.
Yeah. It's a struggle because I have all these ideas. I have like an idea book where I am struggling to not indulge myself by elaborating on those ideas and crafting them into a story, but I really want to.
Yeah, I definitely feel that with like the idea folder. Because I have a lot of story ideas like written down, but I guess in my mind I'm like, okay, push those for like a later project at a later date. And I'm currently focusing on like kind of like my city project is my main project, and I'm kind of setting myself deadlines with that, where it's like I think the nano months, like once I discovered NaNoWriMo is when I was able to actually like set goals and like arrange things, because like say, because right now this current draft that I'm working on, my deadline is March 31st, because April for Camp NaNoWriMo, I'm working on a different project. So I have to finish this draft by March 31st. And that's kind of made it so I actually set myself a deadline instead of just endlessly working on this draft, so that I actually have goals in place. And I think also just like NaNoWriMo, where it's like 1 month, even if you're not doing a traditional like 50K or whatever, it is like, okay, you have a goal for this month, or a Camp Nano, you have a goal for like April or July, that type of thing. It kind of helps with like setting goals for yourself too. Plus like the community aspect, I would say. And also I would say AuthorTube also, I've noticed, because like if you say you have a deadline in a video, or like you have a goal in a video, you kind of have to follow up on that. So it helps with that motivation.
It is so satisfying to check something off. I don't know if all of y'all use bullet journals, or anyone uses bullet journals out there in the comments, but I do, and I love to like check tasks off. I find it so satisfying at the end of the day.
I don't plan like that. My motivation is basically AuthorTube. When you guys are randomly popping out streams for like an entire sprint, I'm like, I should probably write some words today. Let's go from there. I mean, I kind of planned it out through NaNoWriMo for the first time when I did it. That's where the original story came from. And then from there, it kind of just involved of me just watching everybody else sprint. And I'm like, I should do some words. That should be the thing.
Streams are so helpful. I feel like streams are the only reason why I was able to finish NaNoWriMo.
Yeah, that's the same. Like we're like, even if like I would log on during NaNoWriMo and I was like, okay, I need to like hit my word count for the day. And if I couldn't find any current live streams, there were a few where I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go live because I need like to focus.
Yeah. Okay, Grapefry also says that she does not listen to like a playlist, and she tries, but she's only had like 2 or 3 songs on them because she feels like the songs have to fit perfectly and it's hard to find. I feel like I just put on like a random playlist on Spotify that isn't for my own, and then I'll just like write to that mood, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but it also helps motivate me because it's kind of like a musical prompt. Also, so I'm in the querying stage for my project, and so I'm researching all these literary agents for traditional publishing purposes. And this one agent, her manuscript wish list, aka the list that she wants to, list of like books/5 she wants to get, is in the form of a playlist. And I like listened to the entire playlist, and to be honest, it's so difficult because I feel like my whip could just be any one of those songs because they're songs. Also, Writing Violet says that her current whip is a plot bunny. So, I mean, if it works for you, it doesn't always work for me because I get distracted, but. So, next question, I guess. Who is your favorite character in your whip? You don't need to go into detail, but explain why your favorite character is your favorite character.
Probably my main character, I think. I mean, that's why she's my main character. But I think she's just super badass, and I don't know. But in my romance novel, my favorite character was actually the love interest, and he was just like so fun to write, and he was just so adorable, and I just had so much fun with his character. So, yeah.
Oh, it's so hard to choose one. Because I love a lot of my characters. I feel like obviously I love my main characters, but there's also some like really solid like side characters that just like add that like extra fun that you just really like. So I'm gonna have to go probably like my favorite character is gonna be one of my main characters, which is the Dark Blood Prince. Just because I enjoy writing his perspective. He's very like withdrawn, and like he has that internal struggle where it's like he has feelings that he doesn't understand, and like yeah, I just love writing him. He's very Mr. Grumster. But like secretly writes stories, so he's great. I love him. So yeah.
I guess like the more I work on like this second POV, because like my main character is the girl that falls from the city above to the city below, but like my favorite character is slowly turning into the second POV character who is he's in the city above the whole time, so that we get like both perspectives from the city below and the city above. And he's more like my MC Duvesha is like, she's more of a like stereotypical like good guy hero or whatever, where Gideon, who's the new POV that I'm adding, he's more like morally gray and trying to figure out whether he's black or white. So as I'm writing his point of view, I'm realizing I'm getting more attached to him than I am my main character just because of that.
I love like the whole discovery process of characters, at least like kind of watching your own characters develop.
Kind of discovering who they are as you're writing. It's definitely a fun process.
Especially when your character's like very snarky and then you're just laughing at the side comments that they're just making.
Yes. Yeah. I think for me, yeah, I have to say that my side characters are my favorite. Like, I don't know, they're just they contrast my main characters so much that it's like, it's so refreshing to write about them. Like, I feel like I'm in a whole new universe And if I'm talking, like, are any of your characters relatable to yourselves?
I try to stay away from that. I really do. I'm like, I mean, it would be some things that I think that they would say out loud, and I'm like, but for the most part, I try to stay away from like creating character based off of or most of my personality. It's like, that's too deep. That's too.
Fair enough. Yeah, so none of my characters, like, I don't know. I don't relate with any of my characters. Like, they're all like, if I had to give them placeholders, my main character would be the outgoing extrovert that I want to be, that I don't have the guts to be. And, like, her main love interest is the guy I really need in my life, but is totally not my type, but I still really want him in my life, so he's in the book now. So, okay, this is kind of opposite of that last question. What character do you not like the most in your story? Like, why and why?
In my romance novel, I guess, I don't really not like any of the characters in my current one because I really haven't decided a ton about them yet. But in my one that is in the editing stage, there's an ex-girlfriend of the love interest who's crazy, and you're meant to not like her, but like every time I had to write something about her, I was like, oh my god, I hate her so much. Like, so yeah, she was really easy to not like, which was important. Like, you were not supposed to like her at all. She had no redeeming qualities.
Oh no.
Oh man. So I feel like I don't have any characters that I don't like. I enjoy writing all of my characters. A lot of them are very morally gray, just in general. But I would say the character that is supposed to be probably the least liked would be the Dark-Blood King, because he is more of a cruel, emotionless, power-hungry ruler. But it's like, it's not quite like that. Like, yeah, he's like kind of grumpy and he's not very nice to his children, but like he's still morally gray. So like it's not like a cut and dry like, oh, I hate this person, because like he's still a person. But he's probably gonna be the least liked character in general, just because he's a little grumpy. Yeah.
But he also writes stories.
So it's the king. So it's his father.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other one was the prince. Sorry, I know I didn't use their names.
It's fair enough.
The prince is grumpy and writes, but his father is like
Just grumpy.
heartless. Heartless. Emotion is weakness. Don't show emotion in front of me. Don't make me look bad. Like, be more powerful than everyone else because you're my son and you have to be, like, kind of person. So yeah.
I feel like the father is the type of person that I personally would like. If I were living in the prince's life, I would totally draw an inspiration from the father to write my stories.
Yeah. Father's interesting.
I think our favorite character I also haven't fully fleshed out yet, but I think like as a person, I really don't like him. He's kind of he's a lord in the city below, and he's kind of just like the assistant to the king, kind of, where he like helps run things but wants to be powerful and like be part of the royal family, but he's not, and he's kind of in denial of that. And he also is just, he's kind of like conniving and a rat and just kind of like the type of character that like everyone hates. And he also doesn't get social cues, so like everyone in the story kind of hates him too because of that it's like he doesn't understand like he doesn't know how to relate to the other characters and stuff like that. So he's one of those characters that I feel like readers and the characters will hate. And he's also not that bright either. So he's like conniving, but he's like the dumb evil person.
I feel like that would be so funny. What about you, Sen?
I would have to say the commander in my story. Like at first you think he's like somewhat okay of a personality, and then you're just like, no, you're just kind of the worst. He's kind of very set in his ways, will not compromise at all, even though you could see the results of a different like plan, because they're in the middle of a situation that kind of involves a lot of the people in their town, and he kind of needs to figure out a way to help them, but he's just like very set that it's only one way and that's it. No, that there's no other options, no other highways, nothing. So I'm just like, why? But this is how I wrote it, so.
True. I like that though. That's cool. Yeah. I think for me, so I didn't think, personally, I thought my main character was my most hated character, which shouldn't be the case. But it turns out, so after I gave my whip to a bunch of beta readers, they all had the same response. And it was the most hated character was the like main love interest. And I couldn't figure out why, but it turns, I think I finally figured it out. And the reason why he was the most hated is because he just PMS'd a lot. Yeah, he PMS'd a lot, and there was no like, you know how they say that you should have your desire and a fear for each of your characters?
Mm-hmm.
He just kind of had like this desire, but he didn't have any fear. His fear was his desire, I guess. So it made it hard to relate to him. So, yeah. Oh, and hello, Laura. Thank you for joining us. We are just talking about our whips. Tell us what your whip is about. And feel free to answer any of these questions. The next question is, what is one thing you hate the most about your whip? I can go first if no one has.
I guess I would have to say the world building, which is what I actually enjoy doing. But for this one, it's kind of a tug and war where you're trying to figure out how much detail you need to add, and then how much is just too much info dumping. And I'm not trying to info dump for this. So I try to set like a word limit for this one, and then it's just not working.
Yeah, world building can be so difficult. I love world building. But yeah, you definitely need to find like a balance.
I think for me, it's like this one point that I'm actually like about to get to in the new POV that I'm writing. It's the kind of the gathering of the kingdoms, which is like a celebration of peace throughout all the kingdoms and stuff like that. And I realized like the first draft that I wrote this story, I didn't world build outside of the forest. I only focused on the two main cities that it's focused on. And then when I got to that part, when I originally first wrote it, I just completely skipped the gathering of the kingdoms because I was like, I don't even know what other kingdoms there are in this world right now. So now I would say that's probably the weakest part of my story, but I have done like more world building since then. And I've written that from the original POV, but now I have to intertwine with the second POV because that's like the first point where both of my POVs meet, and I'm about to get to that point in my draft, so I'm kind of intimidated by it. But
you can do it.
Probably like my least favorite part is like just that part where it was like a bunch of world building that I ran into that I realized I need to do that I hadn't done yet.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do it though.
Mm.
Have confidence. Yes.
So I don't know that I could say that I really hate anything about the writing process. The self-publishing and marketing stuff I don't really like. But I would say the thing that I struggle with the most in regards to writing is probably fight scenes. I don't know why. It's just like that hard mix of like, how much do I specifically choreograph what they're doing versus like what's happening? And I don't know. I think I just haven't read enough fight scenes previously to like have a good background of like how I should write a fight scene. And so sometimes I'll just put placeholders like fight scene. It's like, I know this big fight scene's about to happen, but I don't really want to write it.
There's
yeah,
also
so
like the terminology.
yeah.
Like the
But-
terminology for fight scenes is so difficult because if you use certain words, it can totally take a reader out of the fight scene, I guess.
Yeah. And then you add magic to it because there's like magical abilities that they're using while they're fighting, and it's like, oof, gotta stay consistent.
I love using the environment as part of the fight scene. Like for me, if like something gets knocked over, that's like a crutch for me to say, oh, well, this is how the fighting affects the world around us.
Yeah, that's nice.
I think for me it was, or is, I guess for Project Blade, it's like the magic system. I don't really have any like hard rules for it, so which like isn't necessarily required because it's more of kind of like a soft magic system, but like I feel like I need more. What is this like light on my forehead? I can't handle this. I feel like I need more like hard rules, but like I'm just like not ready to make them. So I feel like I'll probably just kind of like do what I want in my first draft and then go back and make things conform later if I feel like they're too like out there. But I also have to dip because I have a stream in about 15 minutes. So I am going to go and gather my co-hosts.
Yes.
But thank you, Charlie, for having me on. And I'll probably see you in 15 minutes.
And all of Brooke's links are down below. So is everyone else's. So yeah. Okay, so Eva said, I took a fort building break and missed most of this, but I've been here. Hey again. You know what? You came at the perfect time because we were talking about world building, but you're like doing world building, but for real. Laura says, my whip needs so much work. It's a YA paranormal sci-fi, but it's also a murder mystery with romance. Damn, that's like some top stuff there. Needs more thriller aspects. Got to change the tone. So much work. Yeah, that sounds really complicated. And so, like, all the kudos to you for doing something that sounds so elaborate and amazing. Kira says, I also really struggle with fight scenes. I've skipped so many scenes so that I can avoid writing them, LOL. And Laura says, I'm rereading draft 3 after putting it down for 10 months, so hard to read my old writing. Yeah, I cringe at my old writing.
Yes.
It's something. And I think the most hated part of my whip is just the fact that, okay, so I'm talking, my whip is a paranormal as well, and I'm struggling with how much religion I need to add in, and then there's the whole, like, demons versus angels thing. And I am religious, so it's kind of like a moral balance that I have to keep up. That, and also I'm at the stage where I sent out my first like query letters 2 days ago. And if you're not familiar, like querying it takes about like 2 weeks minimum. They say on the websites for agents to get back to you, if they get back to you at all. And even though it's only been 2 days, I'm sitting here like, oh my gosh, have they like totally ignored me because they hate my work and they think it's trash?
Honestly, 2 days in, they've probably just haven't even opened the email yet.
Yeah.
That doesn't stop me from refreshing though. I'll see like a new email from my school and I'm like, oh my gosh, is it a literary agent? But no, it's just my school talking about like courses next year.
I think when I was querying my play last fall, I like queried it and then I just kind of like focused on other things and completely forgot about it. And then when I did get an email that was a rejection, it was very much a, oh, I forgot I did that. Oh, this kind of hurts. Like,
did you send out any more queries after that?
No, because like plays, like right now it's hard to like publish plays just because of COVID right now, because productions of plays and musicals can't happen. So there's like, it's kind of just like play publishing is kind of put on pause right now, essentially because of that.
True. That just totally blew my mind.
Yeah. So like right now, like querying that project is just waiting till COVID makes it like is dealt with enough that productions can happen again.
Yeah. And Eva says, congrats on sending it queries. So thank you. And Laura says, I have a few short stories out on submission. I keep refreshing too. Oh my gosh. Best wishes. Good luck. That's so exciting. And what about your most... Why do you love your whip? Since we talked about hate, let's talk about love, because we need to love our own whips. And then we'll do an outro.
Okay. Well, I love my whip for many, many reasons. I am a writer who writes what I want to read and what I love, and I'm actually not a well-read writer. I was always a create my own stories, tell my own stories kind of person. So I love writing my dark fantasy because you can really look into the dark side of humanity and kind of the twisted thoughts that people can have. And you can really explore that morally gray area where it's like, on one hand, you understand what this person's doing and why they're doing it. And then on the other hand, you can also see how like what they're doing is negatively impacting someone else. And it's like, well, you don't always think about that because, you know, you see the world from your own perspective and you're like, I'm doing the right thing because the thing that you're doing is for the things that you believe in. And then someone else believes in something else and they're doing things because they believe in that. And then you can see how, you know, what really is good and what really is bad at that point versus it just being a matter of perspective. So that is why I love dystopian and darker themes. I like exploring those kinds of things and sharing that, pointing that out, like putting it there for people to read it and see how like they can maybe understand more perspectives and get more experience from reading things like that. So that is what I love about it.
That's nice. I love dystopians. It doesn't have anything to do with anything, but yeah.
I would say I love my whip just because it's like, it's an escape and it's a creative escape where like, it's kind of like, I kind of see writing and reading almost in the same way where I read to escape, but like consuming versus creating is two different like escapes, I guess, where consuming's more like, oh, I'm kind of tired, I'm just going to read or like watch TV or whatever, where it's like when it's a creative escape and it's a world that you created, characters you created, that's like, it's kind of like this secret place that is just yours until you share it with people. And it's, I don't know, it's like a nice little like mental escape so you can escape from reality for a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so with mine, I kind of took a Brandon Anderson kind of stance on it, like how I watched Twilight, loved parts of Twilight, and then imagined different things happening, and then completely shifted it out of that entire world. So that's why I kind of love my novel, because I got it based off of reading in genres that I love, which is a lot of dark fantasy and dystopians. So it brings me joy and it brings me heartache at the same time.
Why read a dystopian when you can just write your own?
Yes.
I think one of the reasons why I love my whip is just, I don't know, I like the world. I really like my side characters. Like, I feel like, okay, remember when I was talking about like placeholder names? One of my favorite side characters, he's like the guy I really, really want. Like, he's totally my type, but he's also not my type because he's evil. But like, he's just so quirky, if that makes sense. And I don't know. I love the characters, all the characters that I love all the characters that I love, if that makes sense. And so really I just feel like I'm writing this for them in that regard. And Laura says, I love the fluffy romance scenes I've written in this whip. Never happened to me before, but I'm having fun imagining them. Yes. Oh my gosh. I feel like this may be controversial, but I feel like you can write just as like you can write romance just as good without having experienced it when you have experienced it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, maybe that's just singleness coming out, but so anyways, we are almost at time. Would y'all like to do your outros?
Yeah, I don't know how much you want us to say. I tend to ramble sometimes. But outro, if you guys forgot, my name's Kayla Kune, adult dark fantasy author. I am an author, YouTuber, gamer, and aerialist. So I have AuthorTube where I post weekly videos on Wednesdays and I do weekly live write-ins on Mondays. And I do have my adult dark fantasy novel, The Reckoning, is releasing next month. It is up for ebook pre-orders right now. All that should be in my links on my website. You can find it if you look for it. And I also write a weekly web novel series called Project Infinity. It is free to read. It is a boys love sci-fi-ish web series that I created so that people can read my writing before buying my book and see if they like how I write. So that is what I have, and that is what I'm doing. So yeah, that's me.
I'm Caitlin Asche. I am an author tuber that I post videos every Friday currently. And then in April, I will be doing live streams every Tuesday for sprints. Not sure what time yet, but for Camp Nano. And then I make videos about writing, reading, and occasionally coffee. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, links are down below if you guys are interested.
Hi, I am Senseriousness. Most people call me Sen. I will randomly pop in through any of your wonderful writing sprints. I have no shame. And read along with you guys. I have two channels. One that's more focused on like anime nerd stuff, and the other one's more focused on booktube stuff. So you want to either watch one of them. But I am very happy to meet all of you wonderful people, and I can't wait to read all of your books when they're all out and hoard them. like all good authors and booktubers do.
Right back at you there. Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. My name is Charlotte. You can call me Charlie. This is my channel. I put all the links down below. It was fun just to kind of talk about our whips. I feel like I'm at that point in life. Maybe this was just more for me than it was for y'all. I'm sorry. But I'm at that point in life where I'm like, do I really want to write my whip? And this has given me way more motivation to continue writing. And so I hope if any of y'all are in that place, this has helped. I will put the next sprint for the WorldWide Write-a-thon into the chat. There you go. Oh my gosh, look, on my phone, my name is in highlighted color. That's so cool. Okay. Anyways, thank you all so much. Don't forget to give this stream a big thumbs up and, subscribe. I'm one away from 250. So I'm excited. And thank you, everyone. Thank you, my lovely co-host, for co-hosting with me. And I will see everyone later. Bye.